On this walk and roll, we take a trip to the sweet side, East-West fusion style. See the intersection of street meat and chocolate.
Human truffle.
Try to name the secret ingredient.
What is that?
Wrap up the world's trickiest dumpling.
I guess I probably cannot be making this professionally.
All that and more on this walk and roll.
It's like no dumpling I've ever had.
With a collected 5 millennia of history in the scrolls, traditions have a way of piling up in China, particularly in the once and again capital Beijing. In the food realm, this is no different.
From my experience, I've seen that Chinese dessert is nothing like anything else you've ever tried. I think the best way to put your chopstick into this new style is by trying some East-West fusion fare.
In the land that was once considered where time stood still, now follows a pace of life and development that can only be described as warp speed. For the generations born in the 80s and 90s after the opening reforming policies, this is doubly true. This group is the adapters and leaders of new ideas and trends. Might they be the key to creating a dessert freed from tradition? The name of this joint isn't a reference to the world of adult film, but pinned after the dessert power couple Cream and Paul.
Hey, how's it going? So, are you Paul or are you Cream?
是的，我叫 Paul。
Paul. Now then, who's Cream then?
Cream 是我的老婆。
So you two together run this joint and serving up some interesting desserts I've heard.
As a kid, Paul dreamt about being the Willy Wonka of China, or the Wei Wei Wonka, if you will. And this is his factory.
这些都是我们家买的招牌甜品。
Okay. So you got some of the balsamic truffles, chili, black sesame, interesting. Is that kind of like huajiao?
花椒对。
So you have the numbing pepper.
Yeah.
And cumin.
Cumin.
Cumin truffle.
Yeah, you
Like,
try.
yeah.
Cumin chocolate. The idea of these two together has never, ever crossed my mind.
因为在北京，很多人都喜欢吃羊肉串儿。
串儿。
大家都喜欢，对，都喜欢多放些孜然，所以我想把孜然融入到巧克力中。
Everything that gets skewered and grilled in this city is a healthy dose of cumin seeds rained down upon it.
Very interesting flavor to it because when you first put it down, there's a little bit of smokiness from the cumin, that kind of like spicy earthiness, but it's not too strong. Then that chocolate, then the interior, that just melts, and then finally at the end, you're left with just that cumin flavor just covering your tongue.
Sinking my teeth into the oh-so-soft truffle was an eye-opener. Somehow, it actually worked.
So you're making this whole range of chocolates. Like what else do you guys make with that kind of interesting mixture?
马上就要春节了，您想尝尝我们带有中国味道的冰激凌吗？
Not missing a beat in the weird side of Chinese Western crossover dessert, he passed me a white mug holding a scoop of light green ice cream within. I'm just hoping that the Spring Festival flavor in question is not baijiu.
It's like really fresh. It just has like this kind of vivid flavor, but I don't know, it keeps changing. It's like you have like a little bite and then you taste it, you can't exactly figure it out.
As the cream vanished, I tried to name what ingredient he snuck in.
I mean, what is that?
It's final.
Fennel.
Yes. 大年30我们过了12点我们会包饺子。
You put this ice cream into dumplings.
It all made sense. Because fennel is often added in to play off against the flavor of the pork.
And you guys still actually pull it off. I mean, that's just the crazy thing about it. Like, first cumin truffles just seems bizarre, like it wouldn't work. Then fennel in ice cream. That's just otherworldly.
For some answers, he led me to the kitchen. I asked him how someone who hadn't grown up with Western dessert culture could possibly create such inventive treats. He told me that he worked for years in the kitchen of a 5-star hotel, whipping up desserts for Western customers. As his skills grew, so did his desire to craft more creative and wild combos.
And that's just what's like so cool about this. You can just combine all these flavors that you never would think could actually work. But because you own your own place, because you can just do it your way, you can make dessert like this, a dumpling jiaozi. Now, the last question that I have for you is how do you possibly stay in good shape? Because you're looking pretty fit after just being surrounded by so much chocolate, so much dessert for years and years.
因为呢，我平常喜欢锻炼，即使尝了很多甜品以后，也能保持现在的身材。
Now, for me, if I was doing this, I would be like that big. Like, I would just be growing huge. I just cannot see.
The process of making a dessert dumpling begins like any other, with the wrapper. Instead of the usual fusion between water and flour, these rounds are crafted out of sticky rice.
It's not looking too super dumpling-like, but after I roll it out, I think it's going to start getting more of the right shape.
Also, like any other plump dumpling, it's rolled out in a way that keeps the middle fat and able to support the filling, which in the case of a melting ingredient like ice cream is crucial.
Now, the first thing that you notice is that how the filling just feels so much different. With the pork varieties, this kind of like sticky paste, which is already squirting out some ice cream.
Every time I try to pinch it together, the ice cream will always sneak out of the ends.
But this one, it just moves like its own accord. It's I guess I probably cannot be making this professionally. And while he's finishing up making that model of jiaozi perfection, I think I gotta devour mine before it starts melting even more.
Dessert as we know it is a largely foreign concept in China, the notable exception being the sweets of the Cantonese and Hong Kong people. But even these are designed to have more of a medical focus rather than satisfying a sweet tooth. The rest of the mainland focuses its saccharine lust into snacks rather than the after-dinner treat dessert is to us. So for the Chinese, this is the stuff of street snacks, office treats, or something to put down in large quantities while watching TV. Think of all the classic dessert ingredients by our definition: sugar, chocolate, and eggs. All those staples are largely gone, and in their place, red beans and sticky rice. Here, dessert is something to fill up on. In the kitchen, I put down one of the ice cream dumplings, but Paul told me to get the full glory of the dish, I would have to eat it the right way.
Mama.
这就是今天的2道甜品。
These are some beautiful looking desserts right here. Ooh.
What is a dumpling, even one of the dessert fusion variety, without the required vinegar dip?
This right here is a jelly made from vinegar and garlic that I have never ever seen like this before.
Keeping in the vein of musing on classics, CREAMPAUL creates their own rendition of it by turning that dark vinegar and garlic into a jelly, all crafted by slow cooking the ingredients together before letting it set up in the chill box.
I mean, I don't know how you just keep doing it. All these things I would think would just taste, frankly, kind of strange, if not awful. You somehow pull off. I mean, that actually is a pleasant thing to eat. It just reminds me of kind of like the Jellos had back home. But there's just the right amount of vinegar in there. It's not too overpowering. And then the garlic adds this kind of backbone of flavor. So it's not too strong at first, but everything is in just the right balance there.
The proper way to put this dessert dumpling down is to start with the jelly. This gets your palate in the mindset of a dumpling.
Alright, so time to sample the proper dumpling.
Following the jelly first, dumpling second method, I saw what he was going for.
Now, when we tasted it back in the kitchen, the one I had especially was interesting, but it was a bit melted already and it's not formed up properly. But this one, made by you with just the right amount of filling in there, it just takes up the whole interior and then just pinched up right in form. It just gives you that feeling of eating a jiaozi when you just taste it. It's just this whole other world of flavor that you've never seen before.
It's certainly unlike any other dessert, but if you imagine it with the right mindset, you might just find a new favorite. For the final taste of his brand of dessert, I was served a tart that brought together two of China's staples, lychee and jasmine tea. In a word, it looks stunning.
So with this one, how did that inspire this? Because this seems like a mixture of the Western kind of classic style, a tart on the bottom, but on top these nice little rounds are kind of like lychee.
因为在中国很多人都喜欢吃荔枝，所以呢，我把它这个荔枝这个味道元素融入到西式甜品中。
No, not only do you guys have the lychee, super Chinese, but some jasmine tea as well. I mean, these seem like the kind of classic ingredients of Chinese dessert, but you're still fusing in that Western element.
working from the jasmine tea wafers to the coconut cream, and finally onto the tart itself.
非常的酥脆。
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting, like when you put that down, at first you still taste the kind of like firm crispiness of it. But like, after a second, it just turns into this flavor of kind of like a creamy jasmine tea. It has that sort of like crunch to it, and then it just has the nice finish.
It was like a sweet symphony played out in the mouth. I could have put down 10 of these, no problem.
Personally, I have to say that's just an awesome set of flavors right there. But what about the people that come here? I mean, are there more foreigners or more Chinese people that are down to try this?
中国的朋友来的更多一些。
You are one of the people at the forefront of creating these kind of Chinese Western crossover dishes. Do you see this stuff continuing to grow in China, or just be more for the market for girls and just a certain set of people?
会越做越大，因为呢，大家更喜欢接受一些新鲜的事物，再融入之前原有的这些元素，所以接受起来比较容易。
I mean, personally, I'm sure if anybody comes here and tries this, they'll instantly become hooked. I mean, this is just such an interesting style of dessert. It's like dessert with a story that's, spanning, thousands of years and multiple continents. I mean, I've already finished this and I'm craving for some more. From each bite, we're kind of moving towards all these different flavors. Coconut, more like Southeast Asian, Southern China. And then this part as well, just very fascinating. Cheers.